You know what's funny? Black characters created by white creators are considered black by black nerds and black fandom. However, black characters created by black creators aren't considered to be black enough by those same black nerds and black fandom. Now available in paperback and e-readers, Spellbound, a darker shade of black. Get your copy today at your favorite online bookseller. When is a black character considered to be black? That's a question I have been trying to get an answer to ever since I stepped on social media. Now, it's very interesting that a black character like the Black Panther, Luke Cage, or Storm, who are created by white men, are considered to be black by black audiences. However, a black character created by a black creator like myself, such as John Haynes, Isis, Esteem, or Matilda Crowley, is not considered to be black by many of those same black audiences, such as black nerds, black comic fandom, and even the hoteps and pro-blacks. Whenever I put up an image of a black character, such as an Isis, John Haynes, Esteem, Matilda Crowley, or a Lilith Graves, these characters oftentimes get responses on social media telling me that these characters aren't black, or I get from some of the hoteps and pro-blacks, this character isn't black enough. And I find that interesting because they will sit there and say black characters created by a black creator aren't black enough. Meanwhile, these people will quickly go out here and accept a black character created by white men, such as the Black Panther, Luke Cage, Storm, Vixen, or even black characters that are created by black creators at affiliates like Milestone Comics, such as Hardware, Icon, and Static. They will automatically accept these characters as black, even though characters like John Haynes have brown skin and are black and have black features. They will say these characters are not black, but they will sit there and accept the mainstream characters from Marvel, DC, and Milestone as black. And that's one of the things that used to have me scratching my head as a black creator until I started to take a further critical look at my 2016 novel Spellbound. Now, in my 2016 novel Spellbound, I talk about the character Matilda Crowley, who is trying to figure out why many black people don't want to see her as black, even though she is a biracial black woman who lives in Harlem. She's trying to figure out what black actually is until her neighbor Mrs. Purvis tells her about the whole concept of being spellbound. And in the concept of being spellbound, there are black folks out here who are looking to fit into the black box that is acceptable to white people. And because they are looking to fit into the black box that is acceptable to white people, they only want to accept things that are black, that are certified and accepted by white people. And this is why many black people in groups like Black Nerds, Black Fandom, Hoteps, and Pro-Blacks will accept a black character from a white creator, such as Stan Lee and Jack Kirby, such as the Black Panther, or other black characters created by black and non-black creators like Luke Cage, Storm, Vixen, Cyborg, Hardware, Icon, and Static as black, but they will sit there and question the blackness of a black character created by a black creator. The character created by the black creator has their blackness questioned because many of these black people in Black Nerds, Black Fandom, and these hoteps and pro-blacks and even casual black people, they are scared about accepting this person as black because what they're looking for is a validation or an approval from white people to accept this character as black, because this black character does not come from any of the mainstream institutions, and because this character doesn't come from the mainstream institutions, they're afraid that if they accept this character as black, there will be reprisals from white society. And this just shows the whole psychological impact of white supremacy on the black mind, because when you have black people out here questioning the blackness of a black character created by a black creator and giving a complete acceptance to a black character created by a white person, it shows how deep white supremacy is in many black people's minds, because in order for them to accept a character as black, they need that character to be someone that gets a seal of approval from white people. Now, in order to avoid having to accept or support a black character created by a black creator, what happens with a lot of black people is they go into denials where they will say things like, oh, this character isn't black. And the irony with that statement is that they're saying that the character isn't black because the character isn't a white person's perception of what they define to be black. So what many people, when they make this statement, oh, this character isn't quote unquote black, what they mean is that this character is not a white person's idea of black. And this was something that I got when I was watching the Robert Townsend movie Hollywood Shuffle, and they had the sketch for the black acting school, and in that sketch they showed the black guy trying to walk jive and the white guy telling him he wasn't walking jive the right way. And that resonated with me because it showed me how deep the psychological impact of white folks' ideas of black people reflect on black people's perception of themselves. And this is something I have seen when I go out here and I present black characters. People will say that character isn't black, or that character is acting white. That's what they'll go out here and say, because again, we have a character who's created by a black person and a black character who is not someone out here who has been certified and accepted as someone who fits into the black box that's acceptable to white people. And this is their reason for rejecting that character. So they'll say, oh, this character isn't black, and they'll say that this character isn't black because this character is somebody that does not fit any of the ideas of blackness that they have seen accepted by whites. So they want to find a way to reject that character and find an excuse to not support or even try to give this character a chance. Now, another thing that I run into with a lot of black people out here whenever I present a character like an Isis or an Esteem is I run into a light-skinned, dark-skinned straw man argument. And again, this is another excuse that many black people use to refuse to support black characters by black creators. They go into the straw man argument to say, oh, that character is light-skinned, so you must be color-struck, and use this shaming language as a way to get an excuse to avoid ever giving this character a chance based on the content of their character. No, all they do is use the color of their skin to make an excuse. However, if you have a character created by a company like a DC or a Marvel that is light-skinned, these same people would be running to support that character, and the only reason why they're supporting them is because they come from a white institution. And again, they don't want to support the black character who is coming in a different skin tone because they don't want to support the character created by the black creator who you would think you would want to support, because this character is basically coming from a black person, giving you different aspects of black culture and the black experience. However, they don't want it from the black creator because it's coming from a black man or a black woman. And because it's coming from a black man or a black woman, it's not sanctioned by a white institution. And this is their way of trying to find an out to avoid supporting that black character, because again, they fear reprisal from many of the white people in their minds. And I say white people in their minds because this is how deep white supremacy has an impact on the spellbound black person, the spellbound black person who is looking to fit into the black box that's acceptable to white people. Whenever they see a black character who is not sanctioned by an institution like a Milestone or a DC or a Marvel, what they do is they go out here and look for ways to reject those characters, and they look for ways to reject those characters because they want to be able to maintain their imaginary status inside of that black box and look for that acceptance from white people. Again, this is a covert contract they create with this imaginary white person and the white people around them. They want that white acceptance and white approval, and this is why they will sit there and just say, oh, I don't like that black character, or that character isn't black enough, or that character isn't black, because they are still buying into the white person's idea of black. And as they buy into the white person's idea of black, they want to go out here and not do anything to upset any of those individuals they socially interact with. They don't want to upset anyone by saying, hey, I like that John Haynes character, or I like that Isis character. I don't want to say anything about those kinds of characters, because if I start talking about supporting black characters created by black people, I'm going to be seen as some sort of radical, and I may wind up losing all of my white friends, or I may wind up losing my opportunity to gain the approval of white people. That is the mindset of many black people out here who are spellbound. Again, being spellbound, they want to fit into that black box that's acceptable to white people, and that is the reason why they will go out here and reject a black character from a black creator and question their blackness, because they don't want to see a black character from a black creator as black, because a black character who was created by a black creator shows that that person is taking power over their own image, taking power over their own narrative, taking power and control over who they are, and they are not going to fit into a black box that's acceptable to white people. No, they're going to define their own path, and that is something that is considered to be way too radical for many of the black nerds, much of the black fandom, and even many of the hoteps and pro-blacks who say they are about black empowerment. Many of these people are terrified about a black character from a black creator, because when a black character comes from a black creator who is talking about black empowerment, it is the ultimate symbol and image of taking power, and it is us going out here looking to be a character of our own. And this is something I talk about in depth in Spellbound, about the darker shade of black, because the darker shade of black is when we define our blackness, we define our identity, we define our stories, we define our experiences. We do not allow ourselves to be dictated to with somebody else's characters, or in the case of today, many of these hand-me-down heroes like Miles Morales and the Black Batman, Luke Fox. We don't go out here and let somebody else tell us what black is. No, we tell the world what black is, and this is one of the reasons why it's so hard to sell a black character who is created by a black creator, because when black creators go out here and tell our stories are not about fitting into the black box that's acceptable to white people. We're not the ones trying to go out here and be fit into these stereotypes. We're not the ones trying to be somebody's background. No, we are defining ourselves in the foreground. We are presenting our picture of life and our experiences. We are putting a picture of black culture up here as related to our stories. And this is something that sadly scares a lot of black people. And it scares a lot of black people because the whole idea of a black person taking power over themselves, this is something that just terrifies them, because a lot of people, again, they have the subconscious fear of white supremacy, and this is what's got them so scared that whenever they see a black character by a black creator, they start looking for excuses to avoid supporting them. I mean, a lot of these same people, they'll sit there and complain, oh, there are not enough black characters out here, there are not enough black stories out there. But when black creators like myself come to those people, those same people start making excuses to not support the products that we buy, and again, that we create. I mean, they go out here and look for an excuse not to put part of their $3.3 trillion in cash and credit towards a comic like a John Haynes at Death's Door, or a book like a John Haynes 1987. They will look for excuses to not buy these books. But if a black character comes from one of these white creators that are created by white people, they are there with bells on at the comic shop. They are putting in pre-orders on Amazon, and they're talking about how great this black character is. And it's one of those mind-boggling events. You're going to say that this character who's created by a white person is considered to be a great black character, but you will dismiss the black character created by the black creator. And again, this goes back to how deep white supremacy has a hand on the black mind, and it shows how deep the spellbound thinking is in black people. And again, it's something that it would really upset you until you understood how deep white supremacy has a hold on many black minds. Because when I first went on a Facebook group a long time ago, I had people telling me, oh, the ISIS character is a white woman. But I'm sitting there going, this person has golden skin, but you're saying this is white. And again, if I put this same character and I put a Marvel label on them or a DC label on them, they would be saying, oh, this is a great black character. And again, it's one of those things that it shows how spellbound black people are. Again, they only consider black to be something accepted by white, and the only thing that they want to support is something black accepted by white. And the interesting thing for me is that I have a lot of white readers all across the globe, but because they don't see that white person putting a seal of approval on an SJS Direct product or any of these other black creators, they don't consider that to be a black product they want to support. And that's sadly the scary part about the black mind these days. They only consider a black character to be black if a white person says that they are black, or a white person goes out here and supports that character. That's when they consider that character acceptable to be black. And again, this is one of the reasons why Black Panther went on to become the billion-dollar juggernaut, because he was a black character created by a white person and was a black character accepted by white people. Meanwhile, a character like Meteor Man, nobody wants to talk about that black character created by Robert Townsend and had an all-black cast. That black hero nobody wants to talk about. And again, other characters like I create, like Isis, John Haynes, Esteem, and many other black characters, nobody wants to talk about, because those black characters don't fit they don't fit into the black box that's acceptable to white people, because no white person has gone out here and put their seal of approval on them. And again, that just shows how we define ourselves. And this is something I have thought about for many years. I mean, I thought about this when I was in junior high school in the 80s, and even in high school in the 80s. I would always wonder, why are certain things considered to be black and other things are not considered to be black? And it's only the images that are presented in the mainstream media as black that are considered to be black by other black people. But when we start creating our own images, they are not considered to be black. And again, this is a frame of thinking we have to break ourselves out of, and we have to break ourselves out of this frame of thinking, because this type of frame of thinking is one of the reasons why we are just, as a collective, just completely messed up. Because if you can't define your own blackness, then you don't have any power over yourself. Because if you don't define what black is, then other people will define it, and they will use stereotypes to go out here and define who you are. And that's what a lot of black nerds, black fandom, and even hoteps and pro-blacks don't understand. When somebody else is going to try to tell you who you are, they're going to take the worst images of you and put them out there, and that's what they're going to believe they can do because they want to take power from you. And that's why it's important for you to control your own stories and your own narrative, because when there are images of white, Asian, Hispanic, or even Arab characters, they don't go out here and elevate black people. They elevate themselves, and they put their self in a positive light. And we've got to start putting ourselves in the same light, and we've got to start putting our characters first, because they put their characters first. Because the whole idea of black folks today is they'll put a white person's creation of black first and put the black person's creation of self second, and that shows how backwards our minds are. We've got to start getting into the mindset of we're going to put our characters first, because these creators are putting our stories first. They're trying to empower and uplift us, and that's what I try to do on the SJS Direct imprint. I want to put ourselves first, show us with power, show us taking power, show us with the right kind of mindset, because if you put yourself second and see yourself as second best, what happens is you start to become a token in the background instead of being the hero in the foreground. Now, if you want to pick up my first comic, John Haynes at Death's Door, you can find this comic on Lulu right now in paperback. And if you want to pick up my second comic, Esteem No Good Deed, you can find that on Kindle for 99 cents. And if you want to pick up some of the books on the SJS Direct imprint, like John Haynes 1987, or John Haynes Godbreaker, or many of the ISIS and Esteem books, you can find those books on Amazon.com in paperback and Kindle format. And you can also find them at other online booksellers like Smashworth, the iBookstore, and Google Play. And if you want to see me be able to make more videos or pay artists to put covers on SJS Direct books, or help me be able to create the next SJS Direct comic book, you can send a donation to the Patreon, the PayPal, or the Cash App by clicking the links in the description box. That's all I have to say for this video. You can comment, rate, and subscribe. Now available on Lulu, John Haynes at Death's Door. The man who rules the world takes on the Greek god of death in this action-packed, all-new John Haynes comic book. Get your copy of the first John Haynes comic at lulu.com today. Support black-owned and black-operated digital broadcast media. www.niceradionetwork.com. Nice Radio Network, broadcasting 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Now available in paperback and e-readers, John Haynes, 1987. Learn lessons about life and teenage love in the 1980s in this coming-of-age John Haynes story. Get your copy of John Haynes, 1987 in paperback and e-readers at Amazon.com and online booksellers everywhere.